I've been saying this for the past few months, and it's that if you are doing Airbnb the way you were doing it in 2019 or 2016, you're gonna fail. I'm starting to have a come to Jesus moment, if you will, with my own portfolio that over the past few years, still performing well, but not nearly as well as I was in 2020 and 2021 because of COVID, which was an anomaly for many, many hosts. And so now we're at this point where a lot of people are choosing to say that the Airbnb bust is here and it's all over. And what I've been saying is that the Airbnb market is recalibrating and we're returning to those revenues from 2018 and 2019. However, even though we're recalibrating on the travel and the revenue front, the competition is a lot higher and the saturation is a lot higher than it was over the last 10 years. And this is unfortunately for many of you, myself included, the truth.
It's done.
This doesn't mean that it's all over. It doesn't mean that there's not money to be made, but it does mean that you have to reinvest money back into your portfolio because your portfolio is a business that deserves to be re-optimized every single year. This is not something that I've been as diligent as I could be because obviously if a listing is working for you, if it ain't fixed, don't broke. Not how that goes. How dare you? Don't make that. If it ain't broke, then don't fix it. And while your listing may not be broken per se, there's a lot of competition in the marketplace. And there's a huge, big, fat elephant in the room that I've been scared to say, that I've been scared to come to grips with. And that elephant, my friends, and this might be a bit of a hot take, is that architecture and design are really not as important as they used to be. Now hear me out. I'm not saying that it's not important. It is in fact so important that it is now the standard for running an Airbnb business. Back in the day, you could come in, you could fill your place up with IKEA and Target furniture, take cell phone photos, and you'd make a ton of money. And over the last couple years, I've been preaching, buy nice, not thrice, invest in quality furniture. I'm just watching back the edit on that. If you just thought that was a list, please go back, read every single one. Caleb is funny. You're funny, man. You did it. You made an insert into the video. Now I'll allow you and your family to eat. And now we're at this point where enough people are doing that is sort of the commonplace norm for the Airbnb marketplace. And on top of that, the architecture and the actual design of the home itself is also a more saturated place. And to really stand out, I've been saying this for a while now, you have to have an extremely unique place to really be crushing it on Airbnb. That thing that's gonna set hosts apart that I'm realizing is the A word. Amenities. Amenities are where I'm seeing most short-term rental hosts crush it, clean up, beat the competition, and be so far ahead of everyone. So now more than ever, if you're thinking, how can I revamp my listing? Obviously there are algorithmic things that you can do, and obviously you can optimize the design. But now is the time to really start considering the actual investment in particular amenities. And I wanna talk about 6 amenities that I'm personally going all in on this year. I'm gonna be spending a lot of money on these amenities because I think that they're gonna return money to me because these are premium amenities that more and more people are starting to ask me about when they book. So let's get into number 1, and then at the end, I'll give a few honorable mentions. So the number 1 amenity by far that I've seen have a detrimental effect to my listing that didn't have one to a significant effect for having one is can you guys guess it? Guess it down below. I'll give you some time to go downstairs. Is it masseuse table? Is it a massage in bed by Becky? The masseuse? No, it's not. It's a hot tub. It's a hot tub. You'll hear me say time and time again on the channel, I hate hot tubs with a passion. The maintenance, they break down. People do book your place specifically because of the hot tub, and so if the hot tub ever breaks or if there's anything wrong with it, most of the time it's a user error. You have to give a refund to your guests, and that's always a really frustrating thing. But even with all of that said, it really does have a significant impact on your property. Anytime a hot tub is barely out of whack, a guest will contact me and say, hey, I booked this place specifically because of the hot tub. As a matter of fact, there are some markets where hot tubs are effectively required. If you don't have a hot tub, you will not make money in that city. And that city is Gatlinburg, Tennessee, home of the Smoky Mountains. Over 14 million people go there every single year, just over 1 million people every single month. If you don't have a hot tub in that market, you are just not gonna get booked. And I have learned this the hard way on my particular property where my house sits on a mountain on 52 acres and with a beautiful view. And I thought that would sell the property, but in fact, it hasn't sold it so much that it's booked all the time because people want that hot tub. Now, don't get me wrong, that particular property actually does pretty well considering it doesn't have a hot tub. I think last year it grossed about $60,000. My mortgage on it's like $2,200 bucks. I made pretty decent money on that particular property last year, but I'm finally, fingers crossed, I'm kicking off the project to build a giant cantilever deck off the cliff with a hot tub on the cliff so you can overlook the mountains. And by doing that, it's gonna be a very expensive project, but I do think that it will bring me anywhere from $30,000 to $40,000 more in revenue every single year. One thing I didn't mention is that this particular property is missing a lot of amenities that are basically required in the Smoky Mountains, from a hot tub to a theater to a pool table to a foosball table, things like that. I'm adding all of it to my property. And so when I add all of those, that's where I think I'm gonna get that big revenue increase. The actual hot tub itself, I think will increase my revenue by about $15,000 to $20,000, which is pretty significant because after that investment is paid back, I'll effectively be profiting like $50,000, $60,000 on that particular property every single year. I also reinvested into Casita Conejo, which was a tiny home, and I felt the architecture was gonna do its thing, which it did for many years. The Joshua Tree was seeing a little bit of a slowdown, so I invested about $13,000 for a whole new pergola on the back of my property, as well as a new tiny little hot tub so that guests can enjoy it. Guess what? They use it. So if you've been thinking about getting a hot tub, just know that there are studies that say that it can add $49 to your average daily rate every single night. So mathing that out really fast, let's just say that you're booked 60% of the year. That's 219 nights times 49. That's $10,731 that you can make extra from a hot tub every single year. It might cost you about $10,700, but after that first year, you're making an extra $1,000 every single month. So consider that. Just also consider the logistics and the maintenance that go along with the hot tub. Number two, this one is kind of like a new one to me. I always thought it was like, do we really need this? Do I really need that in my properties? But that amenity is mini golf / putt-putt. This is something that I'm coming to grips more with. I actually just played mini golf at this museum in Kansas City. It was absolutely amazing. But these were very small putt-putt holes, almost DIY style, but they were so fun. They were so fun, and me and my friends were having a blast drinking beer. So I thought, you know what? It can't be that expensive. I mean, it probably is gonna be pretty expensive, and you don't have to go as extra as this, but this is something that I'm gonna be adding to my Scottsdale property, and this is also something that I'm gonna be adding actually my Crystal Beach property because it's already close to the water and it doesn't really need all that much more, but I just figured it's an easy addition and will help me stand out from everyone in that market. Now, I can't say how much more money that's gonna make me, but I can say it's really fun, it's very Instagrammable, it's an activity that your friends and you will talk about, and I think it'll create repeat business for an amenity that hopefully won't cost me too much, but I mean, it'll be kind of expensive to do it the way that I want to, but I think again, the return on investment will be there. So mini golf, whether you wanna go super crazy with it, or you just wanna do a straight patch of turf and do regular putt-putt, I think you can do that too. Regardless, I think this is a huge amenity worth considering. And now a quick break to announce hostcon 2.0. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to announce this. I've been working on this. My team has been working on this round the clock to bring you my short-term rental conference, the second round of it. We did the last one back in January. It was completely sold out, standing room only. We didn't have enough food. There's so many people there networking, partnering, doing all that kind of stuff. I'm excited to announce that on October 29th and 30th in Houston, Texas, HostCon is going down. I'm gonna have speakers like Jesse Vasquez talking about midterm rentals. I'm gonna have Avery Carl talking about recession-resistant vacation markets. Mark Simpson talking about building a direct booking business. Pace Morby will be there to teach you how to build a multi-million-dollar real estate portfolio for $0 through creative financing. I've got the most insane industry titans and speakers lined up for HostCon. And the best part of it is you're gonna have me on stage teaching you how to do this short-term rental thing. So if you wanna be there and you wanna get in the room with hundreds of other short-term rental operators, then head on over to hostcon.com or click the link in the description down below. We got early bird pricing going on right now, so it is the best time to snag your ticket to HostCon in Houston, Texas. All right, back to the video. Number 3 is gonna be movie theater. And this is honestly an interesting one because I've never actually had a space in any of my properties to put a movie theater in, but every host that I know that has a movie theater makes a ton of money on Airbnb. And so we actually do have some unused space at my Scottsdale property in the form of a garage, and most people don't even ever park in that garage. So what we wanna do is take everything out of that garage, paint it all black, hang red velvet curtains all around the back, put a couple of lazy boy type loungers in there with the big 85-inch TV with all of the different streaming services on there, Sonos speaker, all that kind of stuff. And I think we can get in and out of this for less than $10,000. And it's gonna make for a really great photo, and it's gonna make for a really great time for big groups of people that wanna watch movies, or families that are traveling that want to dump their kids in a TV room so the kids can watch TV while the adults go and drink margaritas or something. I don't think you have to go super crazy. I have seen people go all out with movie theaters, and they actually have projector screens, and they actually have legitimate movie theater seats. They've got like all the art on the wall. I think you can go that route if you really, really want to, but if you wanna get in and out on a budget, I think there are ways to be budget friendly with this, and I do think you'll see a return on investment on this particular amenity. All right, number 4, this is an expensive one, all right? I'm gonna tell you that I just did this, and it has made a huge difference for me, and it's a pickleball court. All right, so me and my partner David bought this mansion, this luxury mansion in Scottsdale. And it was booking all right, but not as well as I had hoped, and so I kept pitching this idea of a pickleball court, specifically because there's this one guy, Jeff, who he inceptioned me with this on Instagram. He's like, dude, pickleball is the fastest growing sport in America. Everyone goes crazy for pickleball. Everyone like loves this sport. The pickleball stats are actually pretty crazy. The number of pickleball venues in the US has doubled since 2010. Over 2,000 pickleball events are hosted in the US every single year. Arizona has the highest number of pickleball courts per capita. The fact that Arizona has the highest number of pickleball courts per capita is a testament to the state's commitment to the sport. Just a few quick stats there that I pulled up in less than 5 seconds. And obviously, pickleball does skew a lot more towards Arizona, but there is something to be said that it is the fastest growing sport in the United States. And when I found that out, I went all in. I pitched Dave. I said, dude, we got to do this. And I will say, since launching that pickleball court, we have seen the bookings come in like that. Like, they are coming in a lot more. We've probably booked about $50,000 since that pickleball court has been installed, which is pretty crazy. That pickleball court cost us $20,000. If you wanted to install one brand new, it would typically cost you $30 to $40, maybe even $50,000. And it honestly could cost even more than that. We actually had our court resurfaced because it was all broken, and we barely saved that. But if we had to demo it and take that whole court out and then rebuild it from the ground up, it would cost about $90,000 to do one at the scale that we have, which is a triple pickleball court in Scottsdale, Arizona. It's actually pretty epic. And quick shout out to Colin over at Surface Max for doing an amazing job on our court, and John and Misty, the drone photographers for this project. I'm gonna leave both of their info downstairs. Both of those vendors are located in the Scottsdale area, so if you need drone photography or a pickleball court, hit them up because they're great. They did good work for me. All to say, final little thing here was it was a little scary to drop 20 grand on a pickleball court, but that's one that we saw an immediate bump in bookings, especially when we compared the bookings from like now through August to the bookings that were coming in last May to August. So it's actually nice to see when you pull different levers, especially on the amenity side of things, you can increase revenue pretty substantially. And I'm excited to add things like mini golf and a movie theater, because I think if we do those two things as well, combined with the pickleball court, we're gonna add anywhere from 100 to 200 grand to our total revenue. I don't have those exact numbers yet, but just based on how well the pickleball court is doing, I think that's gonna make this property a total winner. So stay tuned there. I'll give you more information as it happens in my life, as I always do. Number 5, this one's a little controversial. That's what I say. I say controversial, and then like the fancy people be like, that's very controversial of you. Listen, I want to add jet skis. Number 5, jet skis. The first thing that all of you are currently typing in the comments, you guys are all probably like, but the liability, Rob, the liability that comes with the jet ski, why would you do that? I mean, there's also a liability with leaving a knife in your kitchen that, you know, you could chop off your finger with, right? There's a liability with anything. There's a liability with running a short-term rental business. My stance has always been the bigger liability, the bigger the logistics, the bigger the payout. So yes, there's more liability and logistics that come along with this, but I do think that the money is gonna be worth it. Jet skis as a pair should cost me about $15,000. And to be honest, I actually just really want jet skis. So this is like a really cool experiment for me. I've always wanted jet skis, and I finally get to make that dream happen.
There was a beautiful union of form and function, which we call the jet ski.
But if I can do that while also making my other dream of owning dream homes that other people pay for happen at the same time, then it's a happy thing for Rob, you know what I mean? Wow, I need to slow it down. I had a Red Bull before this and I am feeling it, but that's why you love it. That's why you come back to the channel, right? For my rants, maybe? For the rants in my pants? So here's the tentative plan. I built out a garage under my house in Crystal Beach so that I could store jet skis in that garage. And then I'm gonna have someone that will come out, load the jet skis, take them out to the ocean, and then sit with the people from 4 to 8 hours at a time while the people go out and enjoy the jet skis in the ocean or in the lagoon, wherever they choose to go. I think what makes this amenity super genius is twofold. It's an amenity that people say, oh man, I get to rent jet skis. That's amazing that they're available to me. And then on the flip side, I get to rent the jet skis and actually make money on that specific investment. That's a cool thing. So I plan on offering jet skis for 4 hours at a time or 8 hours at a time. Roughly right now, I'm thinking for the 4 hours, it's gonna be $500. And then for the 8 hours, it's gonna be $800. And so what I'm gonna do is set it up as its own company, as its own LLC. It will be run and managed differently. There will be waivers that will have to be signed. Once I have those processes worked through and documented, everything like that, I'll probably make a video about it. But the idea is to make an extra $10,000 to $20,000 every single year from jet skis, because if we just take the average of 500 and 800, which are the 4 hour and the 8 hour rates, that's $650. And if I can get 30 sets of guests to do that throughout the year, which I think I can, that's $19,500 that I'll gross from the jet ski business. Now I will have some costs, but ultimately ultimately, I think that I'll be able to pay off my jet skis in the first year. I might just finance them and use OPM here, right? And leverage my money. But let's just say I pay for them cash. Then in the first year, I will have paid off those jet skis. And then every year after that, I am gonna make roughly $15,000 every single year from having this amenity available at my property. Not only am I making that money, but I'm also making my listing a lot more desirable. You know why? Because no one else in my area offers jet ski rentals except for jet ski rental places that do that as a business. So I'm excited for that one. A lot of logistical, legal mumbo jumbo that I have to work through, but I do think it's gonna be worth it. Okay, and that takes us to number 6, the final ones, the final amenity. End scene. Thanks for watching today's video. Just kidding. All right, number 6, arcades. This is an amenity that I've also never done because I've never really had the space for it in any of my properties. But again, I have a lot of friends that have arcades and they swear by them, and they are a little finicky on the maintenance, I think sometimes, but I do think overall it's a net positive. And if you can pair arcades with hot tubs and mini golf and movie theaters, you effectively have both the perfect bachelor pad and the perfect family pad too. Now at my property in Scottsdale, we kind of have these 2 garages that are these abandoned sheds, and we don't do anything with them. They're kind of a waste of space. So we've actually been thinking about finishing them out with drywall, putting a new roof on them, adding a mini split, and spending about $10,000, $15,000 on a really nice arcade that guests or their kids can go and play in. I will say that on some of these, it is really hard to see an immediate ROI, especially because a lot of them are high ticket cost to get into. There are ways to keep everything budget friendly, but off the top of my head, the arcade will be 10 to 15 grand. Arcade games, surprisingly not cheap. Costco actually has some options that are relatively affordable. Jet skis are $7,500 a piece. Pickleball courts, as I said, I just spent 20 grand. A movie theater is gonna be 10 grand. Mini golf, I'm expecting to pay between 15 to 25 grand for my Scottsdale property. And in my Crystal Beach property, I'm probably gonna spend about 5 grand to get a simple setup. And hot tubs can cost you $8,000 to $13,000, or in my Tennessee property, it can be up to $30,000 when you factor in the deck that's gonna be built. So I can't answer how much money you're gonna make from each one of these things. All the data I have is gonna be anecdotal and based on my particular property. And what I want you to take away from this video is not to just go and spend 100 grand on these 6 amenities, but go study your market and see what amenity either isn't being offered or what amenity is a requirement for your market, right? Gatlinburg, hot tubs. Scottsdale, pickleball, mini golf, movie theater, arcade. All of those are not required, but if you want the ultimate like family or bachelor pad, they kind of are. And that's why I'm going to be investing so much money in those particular amenities in that particular market. And in Joshua Tree, I added a hot tub because it can get really cold there in the winter and people like to soak in a hot tub when it's freezing outside, right? So go and study your market and find out where you can have an edge against your competition. That is ultimately the point of today's video. And then from there, you can do an audit of your competition and crunch the numbers and make a hypothesis on how much more money you think you can make every single year by offering specific amenities. A couple of honorable mentions here. You know, now more than ever, I do think that pet-friendly spaces are gonna be huge. I don't open my places up to pets. I may be going back on that a little bit more just because I want more bookings overall in my portfolio. In a workspace, I do think that a lot of people are working from home these days. I do think you need to have some kind of desk or some kind of work area at your property. And then 2 honorable mentions would be board games. I think you need that. I think that's kind of like a standard thing these days. Every home should have board games on Airbnb. I think if you buy board games and you spend like $200 on board games and you're like, I did it. These are the things that are gonna make me make thousands of dollars every single year. I don't think that's gonna cut it. I think that's the bare minimum. And you need to strive for better amenities than board games. And welcome baskets. I'm kind of like, meh. Those are offered. Those are nice. I think those are better for your first like 5 to 10 guests so that they leave you a 5-star review and they felt like it was a really personal experience. But I think if you want to amp up a welcome basket, don't just leave food. I think you should create swag, like branded swag for your property. Like my direct booking website is neeksleeps.com. And I want to give away koozies and stickers and chip clips to every single guest so that they carry my brand with them every single day, so that when they look at the chips that they're eating every single day, because they've got a really bad habit, even though they're trying to get healthy, chips are like their vice that they always eat, and they eat like way too many calories of chips, and by the end of the day, they're like, dang it, I was doing so good, except whenever I opened that freaking bag of Doritos. It happens. When they do that, they look at the chip clip and they're like, oh, neeksleeps.com. And I love that house. I'd love to go back. And then boom, I have a whole video series that I'm going to be making on direct booking websites. But until then, that's today's video. Amenities. I know that I kind of threw a lot at you. I don't even know how long this video is is gonna be. Apologies to you, especially apologies to you, Caleb. And if there's an amenity that I missed that deserved a spot in the top 6, let me know down below. But really what I wanna know is, what amenity did you add to your Airbnb that completely changed the game for your bookings? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Always helps me out with the algorithm. I'll catch you on the next episode of Raw Built. Bye.